Last Saturday, I made the journey out to West Baltimore to my first ever X for Boys event. The X for Boys organization was founded out of Albany, Georgia by activist King Randall, who is only 21 years old and a Marine veteran whose mission is to make men great again. King, at his very young age, has taken countless young boys into his home, off the streets, out of foster care, fresh out of incarceration, to change their lives.
Absolutely. Well, for the most part, it's kind of to give boys a little exposure for different things that they can learn how to do, because most boys actually think they can't do these little small things. So to show them that these little simple automotive repair jobs could help them make tons of money, especially in their communities, how I did. I just want to show them that, they can get out and go do something simple and make some easy cash, legal cash, and not have to go do anything as far as being illegal.
Fatherlessness is not only an epidemic across the nation, but something that is specifically plaguing Albany, Georgia, where King is from. Since King has begun to expand the organization out of Albany, he has traveled to many different cities across the country to organize workshops and seminars for other fatherless children. He is of the opinion, and I actually agree with this, that fatherless affects a young boy differently than it would affect a young girl. So his organization, the X for Boys, caters to these boys who are suffering from not having that male role model in their life and uses the tagline, "Make Men Great Again." In addition to me just agreeing with everything about King's platform and his organization and the work that he does, I actually know him quite well. If you have HBO Max, you might have seen the new late night show that came out this last year called Pause with Sam J. The first episode actually features interviews from myself and King. The topic of the show was getting Black conservatives' perspective on balancing their Blackness and conservatism and if the two can coexist. Because we have that shared experience of shooting that episode for HBO together, we definitely are pretty close. So when I heard that he was coming to my home state of Maryland, I knew I had to come out and support. So this particular event was put on with Red Renaissance, which is former congressional candidate Kimberly Klacik's PAC. Last year, she actually ran in Baltimore, so it was a perfect fit that she was also in attendance at the event. I got there just in time to see King poke his head out from underneath a car while a swarm of young boys were watching him as he repaired the brakes.
Hey y'all, what's up, Larry?
King also showed the boys how to change oil on the car as well. You may see in the footage that there was actually a girl that was interested in working on the car as well, which was of no issue to King. This organization isn't government funded. They don't really get any help from the Democrats that say they're all about the Black community and all about lifting up Black people. It's 100% privately funded. In fact, the government has done some things to hinder the organization's progress. Back earlier this year in spring, King previously had permission from Dougherty County Public Schools, which is in Georgia, to purchase a school building for $500,000 that was scheduled for demolition, meaning that the school system was going to make $500,000 that they otherwise would not have. The X for Boys was going to use this school building to form a private school for the fatherless children that they take in. However, kind of last minute, the board came back to him and said, no, you can't have this building unless you teach the public school approved curriculum. So of course, King wasn't down with that. Part of the reason that there are so many gangs and violence and criminal activity in Albany, Georgia is because the public schools are failing the children. So of course, he had to create an alternative. I wrote an entire article for the Foundation of Economic Education about this, but in short, I will sum it up to this. When the government sees that their version of something is ineffective, they will do everything to stifle competition. They don't want you to take your money somewhere else. They don't want you to say, hey, my tax dollars aren't going to good use in the public schools. They want to force your children by zip code to go to their government school, which is failing them. So I made sure to ask King for an update on the school situation because last I heard, they were still at a standstill with the Dougherty County public school system.
Do you have an update on the school at all?
Yeah, absolutely. We have 3 buildings down in Albany, Georgia. So we're looking at opening it up next year. We're just getting ready to start renovations.
I was very happy to hear that King had purchased not 1, not 2, but 3 buildings to use for a school, not from the school system, but from private owners. I mean, clearly the free market is winning once again. Even though the X for Boys school hasn't opened yet, the organization has seen soaring rates of reading comprehension, literacy, math comprehension, and basic skills. Something about it is working. You can argue that government may be more effective at certain things, But would they if they weren't actively hindering the progress of private organizations at any chance they get? Based off of King's success at such a young age, I must reiterate, I think it's safe to say that the government is not an adequate replacement for the father in somebody's life. It has to be a real role model and mentor that people can look up to. It was amazing to see how much respect and love the children treated him with. And of course, out of the kindness of his heart, King actually took all of the brand new tools he had purchased for this event and donated them to an 18-year-old who was in attendance. It's amazing to me how people can look at organizations such as the X for Boys and write them off because they're ran by a Black conservative, or ran by a veteran, or ran by someone who simply just doesn't need the government's help.
Kind of exposes them, so after they get into this, then he's going to want to learn how to do other things. So I donated the tools to a kid here, and he's going to probably expand his knowledge past what I taught today, because now he has the tools. So it's kind of just giving them the tools and opening their minds. You know, like one small workshop is not going to make a major impact, because most people know I'm trying to open a school in Albany. So I do this constantly in Albany, constantly in the Atlanta area, but I go to different places because sometimes, even though I may not see these children ever again, this one little nugget that they got may impact their lives forever. And I think that's extremely important. If I can save one, I save a million, and that's in my opinion. If I save one family, that means the world to me. So I just go to these different places and try to be an example of a young person that's doing something with their lives.